making one of my favorite nostalgic treats, date nut bread. And I put this out there on Instagram and Facebook this weekend, and I got so many comments about how nostalgic it is, and everybody remembers eating it with that schmear of cream cheese. So I'm going to be making date nut bread today. This is like the perfect one bowl wonder, and it's perfect for you to bake along with because we're going to just put this together in real time today. So we're going to be starting with some dates. And you get whole pitted. Make sure that you get the pitted kind because you're not going to want to take the pits out because it's just such a daunting task. But I have some already here, and I'm just going to chop up the rest. I'm going to show you how I chop them up. I cut them in half. And while I was chopping the other ones, I actually found a pit in one. So this is great that you're going to chop them up because you make sure there's no pits in there. Because the worst thing is to have yourself bite down on a pit and break a tooth. Nobody wants to do that. So I'm just cutting them in half lengthwise, and then I'm just cutting them into smaller pieces. It's just as simple as that. And these are just so nice and juicy and sweet, just delicious. Okay, so we've got our dates all chopped up, 4 ounces or about 1 cup. You want to add a few more? Go ahead. It's okay. To that, we're adding a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And then we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of water that I boiled, and it's nice and hot. And what the warm water will do is it will even more soften those dates because sometimes there can be little dry bits and they'll get them really nice and soft. And we're going to let this sit, and the water will be infused with the flavor of the dates. So not only are you getting the dates, the little piece of the dates in the bread will just taste like dates. So this is warm right now because the water had been boiled, and we're going to just put this aside. Okay? And while that's cooling off, we're going to prepare our pan. This fits in a 8 to 8.5 inch by 4 to 4.5 inch standard loaf pan. And I have one right here. And we're going to prepare it by buttering the bottom and the sides. And then I'm going to show you a little trick to make it super easy to get this out of the pan without having half the loaf stuck in there. Okay. And this is just so easy with some softened butter. Okay. So what I've done is I've cut a piece of parchment paper that's the width of the pan, the long way, and some extra to hang over the sides. So we're going to press this in and make sure that it sticks to the bottom. And get it in those corners. And we're going to make sure that it's up the sides. And then you can either crease the sides like this, or to ensure that they don't flop over into your batter, you can take these little kind of paper clips you can get at your office store and stick them on either side of the pan. And that way, your paper is going to stay put where you put it. So right there. So our pan is all prepared. We're going to put it away until we need it. Okay. And these, just one more thing. These little things that are hanging over the side, this is going to make it super easy for you to pull the bread out of the oven when it's out of the pan when it's done. And you'll see that at the end. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put together the batter. And we are going to add some melted butter to that. And while our butter is melting, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to the bowl. There goes 1 and 2. And I'm going to use my scale now because we are going to measure both sugars, regular granulated sugar and brown sugar, right into the bowl. So granulated sugar, we're adding 100 grams or 1/2 cup. And we're just going to pour it right in. Don't have to dirty another cup. Yeah, just a little bit more. Okay, we've got 100. And for the brown sugar, we're adding 50 grams or a quarter of a cup. We're going to zero out the scale, and we're going to get 50 grams of brown sugar in here. All right, there we go. I'm going to get my butter, which is melted by now, and we're going to just put this right in. And we're going to whisk this up until it's nice and smooth. There we go. And then we're going to add 2 eggs to this, 2 whole eggs. I'm going to add them one at a time, and I'm going to mix until they're totally incorporated. Go. And the second one. Oh my gosh, I remember eating date nut bread when I was little. It used to come in those packages and they were pre-sliced. Oh, so good. Okay, there we go. From there, I'm going to chop some of my nuts. And I've got a half a cup of walnuts that I've toasted on a sheet pan. And there we go. And I'm just going to give them a little bit of a coarse chop with my knife. You like big chunks of nuts, leave them, pretty big. If not, you can, chop them up as small as you like, but not too small. You really want to taste them and you really want them to add that really nice crunch to the bread. Okay. So we've got our dates. You can see how the water has turned a little bit kind of a golden brown color. That's all those beautiful flavor from the dates. And we're just going to add this whole thing just right in there. Okay. And we're going to just whisk this up. And that's it. All right. So I'm going to use this same bowl. Just going to wipe it out real quick. And we're going to measure our flour in here. And we're going to place that on the scale. And we need a cup and a half of all-purpose flour. And that's 180 grams. There we go. Got the recipe in front of me, so if I keep looking down, I have a lot of recipes memorized up here, but not that many. So I can't remember all of them. Okay, we're at 170, 180. There we go. Telling you, the scale is the way to go. It's so simple. And they're really not that expensive. So to this, we're going to add 1 teaspoon. Oh, they are stuck together. 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And the baking soda will help with the browning of this bread. This is going to be a beautiful, dark, golden brown. And it'll also help with the leavening. A 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And we're getting into heavy baking season coming up in November. We've got our pies, desserts, and Christmas. We've got all our cookies. So if you've got a container of baking powder and your baking soda that's been in your cupboard for months and months and months, I would suggest tossing them and getting nice new boxes of them so that when you're headed into this big baking season, you know that everything's going to come out great. Because the last thing you want to do is to put all this time and money and ingredients into something and then your leavener doesn't work and you're literally left flat. So get yourself, and they're not that expensive, get yourself some new boxes of baking powder and baking soda. You won't be sorry. And we're going to add some salt, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to just whisk this up. We just want to make sure that all our leavening ingredients are mixed in with the flour. Okay. We don't need our scale anymore. And we have our batter that's almost there. We're going to add our nuts. So we've got our dry ingredients. We're just going to dump them right in there. And we're going to just mix it with a spatula. And we're going to mix until we don't see any more flour. And then you want to stop. You don't want to overmix. If you've watched me long enough, you know, don't overmix after you've added your flour. Okay. Oh, look at all that stuff in there, the nuts, the dates. So I like to refer to this as classic date nut bread. I don't put any cinnamon or ginger. The ones that I got growing up didn't have it. You really want those dates to shine, and you really want those walnuts to taste those walnuts. So I don't put any other spices in here other than that little bit of salt. And I think we are ready to go. Yeah, this looks good. Looks really good. So we're going to get our prepared pan. Okay. And we're just going to dump this whole thing in that pan. And you need to have preheated your oven to 325. This is going to be low and slow. So you get that oven preheated. Before you do anything that I've done here, make sure that your oven is preheated to 325. Okay. And there we go. Again, going into an oven or at 325 for about 55 to 60 minutes. You want to see that it's well risen, beautiful, really dark golden brown. And you can stick a skewer in it. And if it comes out clean, you may have like one tiny little bit on there. It comes out clean and you can press it and it gently springs back. You know that it's ready. When it's done, take it out, place it on a cooling rack, the whole pan, and let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then once it's cool, I'm going to show you what it's going to look like. Oh, boy. So this is what our date nut bread looks like. Everybody can see that. How beautiful, that golden color. And I always remember it used to be like sticky on top and you get your fingers full of it. So this is just absolutely beautiful. So remember I told you about those, the hangover for your parchment paper? This is what's going to make it easy for you to lift it out. So what I like to normally do, let me run over and get a knife. Just run it along the top and along the bottom. And then it's just going to pop right out. And I'm going to just take it off the paper. Look at this. Oh my God, it's just so good. We're going to put that on a plate. Oh, how beautiful that look. We're going to cut this in half. Just going to clean off my knife real quickly. I'm going to do it on the board here. I'm just going to cut a couple of slices. I'm going to show you what they look like. So let me show you what this looks like. Everybody can see. Look at those dates and the nuts, and the bread has kind of got that beautiful darker brown color. So good. I can't wait to have a little slice. I'm going to make this look. We're going to make this look nice and pretty. So we've got our bread and a couple of slices here. There we go. Because, you know, it has to look pretty. There we go. And normally, I like to have it with just plain cream cheese. The sweetness, the tanginess of the cream cheese, it's just a match made in heaven. But if you want to go a little bit extra, what I've done is I have some whipped up cream cheese. You can see it's kind of a little orange in color. So what I did was I took about 4 ounces of regular cream cheese, let it get soft. I added 2 teaspoons of fresh orange zest and like 2 to 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar and whip that up. And let me tell you, the orange is just such a fabulous flavor with the date nut. So we've got a piece of this bread, and we're just going to take some of this cream cheese, and we're just going to spread it right on here. Yeah, it's just so good. In fact, I'm just looking at this. I need to have like just a little piece, and we'll. Oh, that orange is so good. If also, you could try if you're a really big orange lover and really like to infuse this with a lot of orange flavor. You could use half water and half orange juice to soak your dates in. That would be really delicious. But this orange cream cheese is just so delicious. It's like just this next step up from just plain cream cheese. Oh my God, it's so good. This, I'm telling you, every time I take a bite of this, it just brings me back to my parents' kitchen table, sitting there with my mom and a cup of tea, just like eating, like almost going through like the whole loaf. So, if any of you do make this, please share it. You can send it to me at tinazaccardi bakes@gmail.com. I would love to see all your date nut breads.